Now, how to begin honoring your father, okay? And if you've done this work, if you've started dealing with your father wound, even if you watched my previous video, when I talk about God as a father, you say, well, first of all, my father wounded me. I've removed him. I've replaced him with God. I'm fulfilled. The thing is, you're not. Actually, if you want to get religious, it's in the Bible. Honor your father and mother. But we're talking about the father here, so that it goes well with you. It's like there's a condition. Does it mean that if I don't honor them, it won't go well with me? Yes, but that's not punishment from God. This is because your father gave you something. Your father is the link to masculinity in you. So if you're not connected in terms of honoring him, able to honor him, you can't capitalize fully on your own masculinity in you. Let's say there's an organ in your body. Let's say your kidney. And by dishonoring your kidney, say, no, I don't want anything to do with that. Imagine how your kidney is encapsulated in things. And it's in you, but you can't use it. It doesn't work for you. And you get sick, and you get ill, and it doesn't go well with you. Because the heritage of your father, the way he connects you to your own masculinity and to the masculinity of your grandfathers, and you need to be connected. You need to belong in a line of men. So if you don't honor that, then you can't be connected. And so you become something else as a result. Very often we become the total opposite of our fathers, and we wonder why we struggle. And we think we just need to tinker with our lives. We need to tinker, I just need to heal my father wound. Well, that's a good start, but you become something totally different from your father. You can get all the healing that you want. You can get all religious as much as you want, but you'll be incomplete, unfulfilled version of the man that you were born to be. And this works for us, right? We do everything to avoid pain. Maybe you marry a woman who complement that, or you never marry, or just stay away, or you get a job that doesn't expose this, that you don't need to confront anyone. That's fine, and that's how we just sort of we walk on eggshells through life to make sure that our inner pain and deficiency is not exposed. But is that life? Shakespeare said that the coward dies 1,000 deaths. Like every day, part of you is like, I can't do that. Make sure I don't upset my wife. It's like, that's not life in freedom. So you need to honor your father. Your father's deposit in you. I don't care if he was the worst person. I don't care if he was Adolf Hitler. It doesn't matter who he became as a result of his own sin and brokenness and damage. It doesn't matter. This is not who we're honoring. We're honoring who he could have been, who God made him to be, who he still is inside of you. If the wounds are inside, if his presence, his bad presence is inside, I need to deal with that and remove it so that he can be free. His goodness is inside of you too. So honor your father. And the Hebrew word for honor doesn't mean love him. It doesn't mean forgive him even. It means, the root of the word is weight, like weight and also glory. So associated with something weighty and glorious. Like they talk about the glory of God. Something weighty. In other words, something you can't ignore. If I drop something heavy in your lap, you will feel it. If I drop a butterfly in your lap, you won't. So if I drop something heavy, whoa, whether you like that thing or not, whether it's a gift, a bag full of gold or a bag full of frogs, whether you like it or not, if it's heavy, you have to do something about it. So you can't ignore your father. And I would invite you to go to my book, my ebook, The Father Wound, and check out the last chapter, Honor Thy Father. There's a story of a man who is dear to me, that I was very honored to have done some of that work with, and I was in the presence of greatness when I saw what can happen when a man honors his father. So you need to honor your father, and this is how you do it. Okay, step number 1, observe yourself. After all what I've just said about how we become different, observe yourself and notice what you have become as opposed to who you want to be deep down. And if you don't know who you want to be, go back to your childhood and see what did they want to be. And what does a boy want to be? Heroic, strong, brave, noble. No boy wants to grow up evil. No matter what the world tells us today about toxic, no boy wants to grow up evil unless he's seen something early, unless he knows that that's the way to be. But deep down, beneath that, the core of who you are, your heart, your true heart, the God-made self, evil is just perverted. Evil strength is just perverted heroism. That's what it is. You have a hero and you have an anti-hero. That's the shadow side. So if you don't know who you want it to be, think about what boys want They want to be strong, heroic, courageous, noble. They want to protect, defend what is good, what is true. That's who you're meant to be in your own way. Not everyone is born to be in the army or a soldier. I never was, and I don't want to be. I've got other things to do. But there is an element of heroism, of purity, of pure innocence, coupled with strength. See, only innocence, you're just a fool. Only strength, you're just an idiot. You're a mercenary. You're a dangerous man. Not dangerous for good, but bring both together. There's a reason why my first book was the Father Wound, and my second book is The Recovery of Innocence. You need both. And so, step number 1, observe and notice what you have become as opposed to what you want to be. Step number 2, repent. Repent about that. Repent of that. And repent doesn't mean saying, oh, I'm sorry. It means make a U-turn. Repent means you go this way and suddenly you change your mind and you go back. So if you've been going away from your father all your life, and you know what I'm talking about, we all do it. We all do it. Our father is a hardworking man, and I ended up sleeping until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My father gets up early, I sleep. My father confronts people and can speak his mind. I'm quiet and I need to take drugs to make myself feel good. That was my youth, basically. Teenage, late teenage, and my early 20s, drinking, taking drugs, taking coke just so I can express myself and I can talk, because I couldn't otherwise. I had inhibitions because of my dad. I became different. My father is a leader, I'm a follower. I don't need to go on here. My father is good with his hands, skilled, I'm useless. Yeah, fill in the blanks, but you need to be challenged here, and you can change. You can really change. In your physical presence, you can change. So the big one is about presence, right? I'm going to spoil it a little bit for you, but in my book I talked about a man who always struggled with his presence. He couldn't offer his presence to people. He was always hiding. He was never comfortable taking the lead in any settings. And then, because his father's presence in his life was horrible. His father was a horrible, horrible man. He would slap him across the face. Horrible guy. Horrible. Naturally, my friend just shunned his father's presence. He didn't want anything to do with him. However, when you shun masculinity, you shun your own masculinity. And he shunned his own presence. He couldn't offer his presence to others because he didn't know what it was like to be in his father's presence safely. His father's presence was not safe. Long story short, even though he was in his 70s, let me just stress that he was in his 70s when we did this work. And miracles happened. His father's presence was made available to him because he chose to repent. So you need to repent. Change your mind. I made a note. Change your mind and renounce your agreements with the way you have turned against your father. Allow the boy in you to become his father's son. Because what happens is we agree things about masculinity. We agree things about male leadership. We agree with things about fathers and about men. They're harsh. They're not safe. And we have a good reason if we grow up like that, yeah. But that agreement later, you keep attracting the same and you're never able to enter your own presence and the presence of other men safely and feel safe. And we have that little boy who longs for his father, but we keep him here. No. And we feed his longing with addictions. And we think this longing is going to go away. It doesn't. We need to allow this boy to become his father's son. And how? You say, how? My father is not with me. He actually is. His energy, his heritage, the Bible says honor your father. What if he's dead? It doesn't matter if he's dead. He is the link to your masculinity. He is in you. Weight. His weight. There's a weight in you from your father. Take it seriously. In other words, weight and honor go together. Weight cannot be ignored. Something that's weighty, you need to do something about. Something that's glorious. Weight and glory. That this both, the word has this both, that joint meaning, weight and glory. So your father's presence in you is weighty and it's also glorious. Eventually, when you deal with the pain, you get to the glory. And you need to become your father's son. To recap, repent. That's 2. And step 3, claim the good things you know about your father. They are good things. They are leadership abilities. They are things that even if he's dead or you never met him, go and look. Go and ask your grandmother, ask your grandfather. If your father is not around, ask your mom, ask your dad, ask anyone What was my father like? Oh, he was just a drunk. Okay, I got this part. You told me about this. But anything good? Why did you marry him? If this was your mom. If he was a drunk. Surely there was something good about him. Claim that. Claim that. Oh, wow, maybe I can be that. There's many stories that I know, including my own life. But if nothing like that comes, if you have no connection to your father or anyone who knew your father, which I'll be surprised, but let's say that's the case, and if you struggle with the image of your father, go to your grandfather. Go to his heritage. What was good about your grandfather? Because your father has the same things in him. Even though maybe he rebelled against them, or he couldn't capitalize on them, or because he had to do this work, and he didn't, that's fine. That was a different age back then. He didn't have time to do this work. So look at your grandfather. That's who your father is meant to connect you with. And his father, and his father, and his father. So look at one of those men and say, that's who I want to be like. And claim that, because you are them. You are like them. If you've been running away from your father, you need to capitalize on your grandfather's heritage. And your father is the connection. So you might have missed that. Okay. To recap quickly. How to begin honoring your father. First, observe and notice what you become as opposed to who you want to be. In other words, observe and notice how you've turned away from your father. How you became a different, very different, a polar opposite of your father. Or just a blind, crushed, loyal follower. A yes man. Trying to be like your father, but it didn't work. Because that's surface. That's still from the wound. So how did you become as a result of not honoring your father deeply? Step 2, repent. Change your mind and renounce that. You've agreed with lies about who your father is. Oh, you need to turn away. I need to avoid masculinity. Renounce that. Repent. Allow the boy in you to become his father's son. Risk openness to your father in you. And step 3, claim the good things from your father. Claim them as your inheritance. You're his son. You're your father's son. What is it? Maybe you had confidence. Maybe you have strength. Maybe he was a natural leader. And you not claim that. He's your father. He never showed you how to be like that. He never loved you into becoming this way. That's fine. But now, reconnect with his heritage in you. Say, Daddy, I'm your father again. Say, Daddy, I'm your son again. Be my father again. He may be dead. It doesn't matter. He's in you. I know it sounds wacky, but it isn't. It isn't wacky at all. It's not more wacky than people acting out of their childhood pain. Is that wacky? If you cross someone and then suddenly they start screaming at you and you say, well, what have I done? I didn't do anything. He's just reacting because he's wounded. Yeah, but that's wacky, isn't it? People he's angry with, they're not here. Why is he shouting at them? See? We're all controlled by our past. So don't think that this spiritual, religious, emotional stuff is wacky. It's inside of you. It's inside of you. Be brave. And enter this journey bravely. That's how you close the circle. And from the father wound, dealing with the father wound, removing your father, then bringing God in to be your father, and then going back to your father to honor him. So you need to die in order to be resurrected. And you've already died to the unhealthy connection to your father. You died to your own self by receiving God and asking forgiveness and asking to be his son. And now you can reap the rewards. Now, not only just you can have God as your father, which you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the previous video. But also you can have all the heritage, all the human DNA from your father alive and active in you. Of course, it's a process to work this out. Of course, you need to start tapping into those resources in you. And if you want to get in touch, and I can give you some pointers. I always, at least this year, at least to the end of this year, I always spend time with people. I don't mind talking to you at all, just to give you some direction. So we can spend half an hour together. That's fine. If some of it is like, oh, what is he talking about? Just write to me. It's fine. We'll talk about it. But it's a process. So I just try to make it accessible to you to start somewhere. And that's the closed circuit. Becoming a son again. Okay, go and do it.